This guy came in and I was like trying to kind of reassure him, etc. And he went out the meeting, never seen again. I get interviewed by the police and things like this, and I was like the last person in his diary.
Oh no.
And that has always stuck with me because you're dealing with people.
Yeah.
I have seen people at their very rock bottom, and it's never nice, but you do tend to feel like just giving someone that 5 minutes, it is a release to them, because like as Donald says, these people are business owners. They've probably put everything into this business. They've got a mortgage, they've got a car, they've got kids, they've got a wife. They don't want to disappoint their wife. And sometimes they'll just come in. They just need an ear for 10, 15 minutes. And then when you manage to kind of calm them down, you can almost see the weight just lifting off their shoulders.
If you're not in the right place, get out. If you're in a toxic situation, get yourself out of there. If you get faith in your own ability, things will work itself out. Don't be scared to change.
I would say one of the biggest things that I do not agree with, that a lot of people kind of talk about online, is that compliance is dead. There's a lot of talk about like AI is going to replace accountants, but I don't personally agree with that. I personally do think it is still important to give them a manual job.
Yeah.
And sit with them through it and teach them how to do it. Regardless of how much technology is there, you still have to have the foundations and the understanding. And that takes years.
We've clients recently, like, I'm really struggling, and they don't necessarily need accounting advice. They just need a bit of a shoulder to cry on. Sometimes they'll know what the answer is to do, but they just need to speak to somebody.
Hi, and welcome to When It Matters podcast. My name's Derek Granger. I head up the Accountancy Partnership channel here at Meshed, and today I am joined by two brilliant guests, Jacquelyn from Jaxx Accountancy and Donald Gilmour from Clarity Accountants. Lovely to have you both. Jacquelyn, how are you doing?
Lovely to be here. Yeah, a bit excited, a bit nervous, but yeah.
Good stuff. And Donald?
Yeah, I'm the same. First podcast ever. I've always wanted to do one, so made my dream come true, Derek.
Oh, well, I don't know what to say to that. It's actually, I would say, even for me personally, actually, it's a bit of a milestone one, because this is the first one we've recorded in Scotland, and more importantly, in Glasgow, in my hometown. So it's good to be doing that, and hopefully we do get some more episodes here in Scotland. We might need to put in some subtitles right now for everybody
I don't like
else.
there's Accountex on just now, and there's like Accountex North, and like Manchester isn't North.
No, it's like,
that's quite south for us.
You need to come a bit further north. So listen, just to kind of start things off, we like to just find out a little bit about our guests. So Jacquelyn, if we start with you, can you give us a wee bit of background from yourself and kind of your journey into accountancy and where you are now?
Yeah, so I decided to start studying accountants after I had my first son back in 2011. Went to college, then went into university, obtained first class honours degree, went into a firm and worked my way up through positions to a manager's position. Qualified as an ACCA, and then 2 years ago decided that I had more to give and I really wanted to. It'd always been my kind of goal to start my own firm, and I made that very clear. And I think 2 years ago, just with everything that had happened, COVID, different kind of factors, I decided that I was going to go out and start my own firm. So that was where Jaxx Accountancy was born 2 years ago.
Wow. Right. Well, we'll definitely delve into that a wee bit more. And I've got a couple of questions that I want to ask around that, specifically around that idea of like knowing that you want to start your own firm. But before I do that, Donald, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a wee bit of background in terms of yourself and your journey so far.
Yeah, a bit different from Jacquelyn. Again, and this is going back in time here, because I'm obviously a lot older than Jacquelyn.
I didn't want to say that.
So I left school. I was down to go to Glasgow Uni, to do computing science. Didn't really want to do it. Wanted to get a job instead, earn money, and I had 2 job interviews. One to be a French polisher, and I had no idea even what that was.
I'm not sure I do now.
And one to be an accountant, and I got the accountancy one. Then I've been an accountant for 35 years now. So I kind of started not in uni. It was a YTS scheme, so the youth training scheme. I was on £29 a week. which I thought was loads. I was rich at £29 a week. Then worked my way through practice, various different firms, started, became sort of self-employed 12, 13 years ago. So 20 odd years into after being an accountant, but relatively started my own company 2 years ago, Clarity Accounting. So it's similarity there with our own firm to 2 years ago. And we wanted to do something a wee bit different. I know most people say that, but we did.
Yeah. So kind of great to hear a bit about both yous and different journeys. But as you say, kind of in some ways that journey of starting your own firm, yous are sharing quite similar timelines. Jacquelyn, you mentioned that it was always kind of in your head that you wanted to start your own firm. What was there a reason for that? Was it?
I don't know if it's just a part of me and a part of my personality, but I'm very, very driven. So one of my memories of being back in college was the lecturer saying to us when we were moving on to university, "Oh, don't worry about it. Everyone usually gets a 2-1, nobody gets a first." And it was almost like something in my head was like, I'm going to get a first.
Yeah.
I got a first. And then I remember being in a 1-to-1 with one of the partners of the firms I worked at, and he'd say to me, like, "Where do you see yourself in 5-10 years time?" And I was like, "Well, I'll be a director or I'll have my own firm." And he just kind of was like, "All right, okay." And I was like, "Yep, here we are." So I think it's just always been inside of me, that drive to always do well and just always kind of try and exert myself as much as I can to get to where I want to be. So that was kind of my driving force behind it.
Yeah. And what about yourself, Donald? Was it something that was a thought in your head for years, or was that kind of more of a kind of latter thing?
It was probably more the latter. I would say it's similar. I was always sort of driven to be sort of the best there. That necessarily didn't mean to run my own accountancy firm. So I wanted to be, if I worked for a company, I wanted to be the best employee, etc. I wanted to be the guy hitting all the targets and things like that. So I was still kind of driven. Then it took a while to then actually, I think it was more sort of disillusionment that made me start by my own rather than being the driven. I was always driven, but it was like, yeah, I didn't really want to work for a big corporate firm anymore. That's what I didn't like. So that was probably more the driver for me at that stage in my career. I'd got to a certain level and I thought, I'm not really going to get any more than this.
Yeah.
So even though I've been kind of working hard, etc., I thought I've hit my glass ceiling here. I didn't really see myself getting to partner in the firm I was working with. So I thought, actually, to progress, I need to be working for myself.
Yeah.
So that was probably the driver. I just didn't like where I was working.
So you say about that.
Name no names.
So, yeah, well, I think I know who it was that you worked for. I'm saying nothing. I'm not going to get myself into trouble here. But you know how sometimes you hear people, and I'm kind of saying this with a bit of thinking of myself, selfishly, but you hear the folks saying, "Oh, I was always entrepreneurial. I was the person that was, set up my own tuck shop at school and stuff like that." Like I had none of those traits at all. It was never a thing for me. I think when I look back, I can go, "Oh, well, maybe I did have some kind of entrepreneurial spirit." But were there any telltale signs at that point, like when you were growing up and stuff, that people would say, "Oh, well, obviously, Jacquelyn, you went on to run your own firm." Did other people see it, or did you see it kind of when you were younger?
I think there was, this is going to sound so cliche, and I'm cringing inside that I'm actually about to say it, right? But I think other people seen the potential in me when I was younger, and I maybe didn't. I grew up on a scheme, typical cliche, seen it all on the streets kind of thing. And I think I just made that choice as I got older and became a mum that didn't have to define me as a person. I was smart. I did muck about when I was younger or whatever, and maybe not take school as seriously as I should have. But I think I always do a lot of work with ACC about like how school isn't the only path and university isn't the only path. Like I do believe in there's always a right time for things. Yeah. And I do feel that becoming a parent to me was that kind of defining point. Like, come on, like what do you want to do with your life? You know you're smart, you can do this. And I think that was the kind of turning point for me, is that kind of knuckle down, get on with it, and really just build a life that you want to enjoy.
I would probably say I was kind of similar. Again, grew up in the scheme. Just typical.
best days.
Aye, typical. Some of it was, some of it not so much.
Well.
But I probably didn't screw it up. I mean, we'd our kids. We were a bit older when we had kids, but for me, it was probably when I met my wife. She was my driving force. I wanted to. I don't know if it was trying to impress her still, but it certainly made me go, no, right. I need to start knuckling down, and maybe it was a bit like what you're saying, where it was other people that seen the potential there. I mean, I'm still waiting to fulfil my potential, but one day. What about yourself, Donald?
Probably the same as you, Derek. Again, I can join in the scheme and things, and sometimes it's like getting a job was like an achievement. Going to university was a kind of achievement. The bar was kind of really quite low, but I was the same. I didn't really. In my 20s, I would still work hard and things like this, but I was still mucking about. I was still going to the pub 3 or 4 times a week and things like this. And it was only when I met Katie, who works with me at Clarity, even though we never thought we'd ever work together. And I was like, yeah, I better actually start taking things seriously nowadays. And at that point in time, like, yeah, what's my career going to look like? What's that kind of just treat it like a job.
Yeah.
Again, probably kids as well. That kind of changes your priorities.
It changes things, doesn't it?
Yep.
And it's the balance between you work hard, you maybe miss things with kids growing up as well because you're in the office 10, 12 hours a day. But that for me became a bit of a driving force to then say, actually, I've got people very sort of male thing. I've the provider. I need to kind of work hard and provide and actually take my career seriously.
Yeah.
Because I didn't qualify until I was 30. Okay. So I fell out my exams, then got back into it. So it took me a while to get there. But once I was kind of there, I was like, yeah, I'm taking this seriously now, and I want to be the best at what I'm doing.
Yeah, and it's worked out all right, hasn't it?
Not too bad, not too bad
so far. So thinking back to like day one when you first, you've qualified, you're in your job. Is there anything that you would go back now with the wee bit of experience that we all have? Is there anything you would go and tell yourself? Like if you met kind of day one, Jacquelyn, what advice would you give her, or what would you tell her?
Oh, tough one. Can I say what I think I'm thinking? No, I'm not gonna. I would say if I had anything to tell my younger self, I would say block out the noise and keep going.
Yeah.
Be kind to yourself and just keep going. And you're going to get there. It's going to be tough, but it's going to be worth it.
Yeah. Do you know, it's one of the things I remind myself of on a regular basis is, it's just, you just need to keep going, don't you? And it will happen. I'm terrible for I'll have these like cool sayings and stuff like that, but I'll get them all back to front and upside down and inside out. But I know there's one about like people overestimate how much they can get done in a week, but underestimate, or is it the people overestimate what they can get done in a year, but underestimate what they can get done in a decade? And it's so true. And I think quite often we're kind of programmed nowadays to be thinking about wanting that instant gratification, and most of the good things in life I've found. Like they don't. It's not an instant.
It's not a marathon.
It's like, you've just got to.
No, it's not a race. It's a marathon. There's me getting it back to front.
Yeah, that's all right. That'll be a good podcast when we put out some of the clips on it. What about yourself, Donald? What would you tell day one?
And I kind of thought long and hard about this. But I would say if you're not in the right place, get out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think looking back in my own career, I've probably stayed longer in places than I should have.
Yeah.
Because you then kind of think, it'd be all right, moving's a kind of a hassle and things like this, or taking the leap to start your own business and things like this. People maybe don't do it because they're in their comfort zone where they are, even though they might not like the kind of place. But if you're in a toxic situation, get yourself out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that is really good advice. And I think I've been guilty of that at times as well.
If you get faith in your own ability, things will work itself out. Don't be scared to change.
Yeah. Do you know the one thing that I find with that though is, and this is where I end up battling with my own brain at times, is I think it's if things aren't right, you should make the move, because the sooner you do it, the sooner things will become better and all that. But then there's the other part of me that goes, but if I'd have left that bit earlier on that job, maybe I wouldn't be where I am now. So it's like everything happens for a reason, and maybe you should have. So it's trying to kind of understand, should I went earlier, or actually was it right to just hang on a bit longer? But I think generally speaking, I would lean towards like if it's not good.
Everybody I've kind of seen in the career who leaves a job, then gets persuaded to stay, will leave probably 6 months later anyway, because there's a reason why they left.
Yeah.
Then they get persuaded to stay, it might be more money, etc. Or, well, things will change. Usually nothing then changes.
Yeah.
So that's, if you're a young accountant, you're like, I don't really like the place, then you kind of hand in your notice. What then happens is, don't want you to go, here's your pay rise, here, we'll listen to your concerns, just go.
Yeah. Do you know, I had a boss years ago, I got on brilliant with him, and I was leaving to go to another role, and it was more money was one of the big factors. And he said to me, Derek, I could give you more money. It's like, but I don't think it's the answer, because I think actually the role that you're going to is just much better for you. And if I give you more money, then we'll be back here within 6 months. And I think he probably would have been right. It might have been that he was just being nice, and he was like, thank God we've got rid of him. It's just, like, honestly, Derek, I would love to give you more money, but I don't think it's the right idea. So kind of thinking more towards, because you both have teams. So how many people have you got in your team?
4.
Jacquelyn and Donald?
9.
So for younger people coming through an accountancy, is there any advice that you would give them that would be different to the advice that you would have given yourself?
So one thing I always remember is when I first went into practice. So to get an initial job, I emailed every accountancy firm in the land, and when I say I emailed about 80 people, I got 2 responses, and one of them was the people that I went into. So that was great. But I used to always get so bunged up about. So when I came in, I had my degree. I came in and I would always get put on like the bookkeeping and VAT, and that was my responsibility. And oh my goodness, I moaned so much about it because I was just so desperate to get onto accounts and things like that. But what I will say is, do not ever underestimate the experience that you get just from learning how to be a good bookkeeper, because it will absolutely teach you to spot things and things. A lot of people, like, and me being one of them, are so eager to get on. Again, it's that kind of determination. I need to do it. But do not underestimate taking a year to start at the bottom and work your way up and learning everything you need to learn. Again, it's not a race, it's a marathon.
Yeah.
So that would probably be my biggest takeaway, is that it's not, make the most of it. Like, don't moan, don't get stuck in the moment, don't try and race, just take it all in, learn what to do, be good at what you do. And that would be my biggest thing.
Yeah, I'd say similar. So we've just had a new start this week. It was a guy, we had work experience last year, and he was very good. Came from school, and we liked him so much we offered him a job on the Friday when he kind of left. So kind of thought we didn't actually need anyone, but I can always believe if you kind of feel you've got the right person, getting people so difficult.
Yeah.
And whether we kind of touch on that further down the line, there's a huge skills gap in accountants.
Yeah.
Just now, I think there's a lost generation, whether that's COVID or whatever. So hard to get people. So we kind of thought, this guy's young, he's smart, the right attitude, etc. So he's about 3 weeks in now. We kind of call it character building work.
Yeah.
So he's uploading. We're doing a conversion on Xero, and without getting into the long thing, there's a lot of data in there. So he's ploughing through that. It's like 20 years worth of stuff. Crazy.
Sounds fun.
And not glamorous at all, but keeps his head down, gets on it, he'll learn from that. He might not see it just now.
Yeah.
but I can see it. I can see it. And I always remember my very first job being an accountant, and it was, again, this was the days before computers, etc. it was somebody plonked, must have been about 1,000 bank statements on my desk, and I had to effectively analyse them out. It took me a month, which was crazy. It took me a month. In those days, that was good service. It was there, but by goodness, I learned.
Yeah.
And the bank didn't reconcile, and I had to go back and do it again and again and again until I got it right.
It's
So-
all part of like developing that critical thinking as well, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
the first time you do it, you're sitting, it's taking you a month, so you think to yourself, the next 3 months round, right, how am I going to do this
Yeah.
quicker? What can I do? What's going to cut the time down on
Yeah.
this?
Yeah, we have kind of hiring rule, humble, hungry, and smart. So kind of no prima donnas in the team. No, this job's too small for me. I'm better than that, etc. So client service comes first. So if that's what the client needs, that's what you do,
Yeah.
and you'll learn from it. So
No,
no substitute for hard work.
I love that. So sorry, what's your
Humble. So again, no prima donna. Hungry. You need to be ambitious as well.
Yeah.
Like Jacquelyn, like driven, and smart. You need to be able to do what you're.
I was thinking the first two. I'm like, right, I'm quite humble. I'm hungry,
Two out of
smart.
3 isn't bad, Derek. 2 out of 3.
That's it in the last one. The story of my life. So you mentioned there about there being a skills gap and accountancy, which I do want to touch on. But one of the things, and it's something that smarter people than me have been kind of commenting on this, but I wonder what your thoughts are on it. So, we are in a period with technology where the whole profession is, it is changing, and it's going to change, considerably more, probably beyond all recognition, between now and, I don't know, take a date and time, 2030, 2035, whenever it's going to be. But one of the things is that with all of this technology, a lot of the jobs or the tasks that more junior members of staff would have done ordinarily, but it seems like, certainly the technology vendors are trying to create solutions that do all of that for you. So how do you ensure that staff are still getting that really good grounding that yous would have got in an age where maybe they don't have to do all of the things that they would have done? Is it a case of just saying, well, you don't need to do it, but actually you're going to do it anyway, or are there other ways and things that yous have been doing? So I'd love to hear kind of your thoughts on that.
I think that personally, although we do have all the technology in place and all the automation, I personally do think it is still important to give them a manual job.
Yeah.
And sit with them through it and teach them how to do it, and almost not lead them through it, but have them thinking and asking me questions about, well, what does this mean, or how can I do this, or what would be the best way to do this? Because I think there's no way that you're going to be able to be taught that by automation, and you still need to have the foundations, regardless of how much technology is there. You still have to have the foundations and the understanding. And that takes years to kind of build up. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't just come out of university. Yeah, you've got that technical knowledge and you've got that the book theory kind of thing. But I've trained people who have came from university. I've trained people who have came straight out of school, and there is a very vast difference in like their skill set, which is understandable. What I tend to find is with university graduates is that it's almost like that information's there in the back of their head. You just need to unlock it by giving them that chance to work it out for themselves. When you've got school leavers, again, they're just as good, but it does take that little bit longer, a bit more kind of work input to put in. But I think that, yeah, they have to have that manual experience. And there's a lot of talk about like AI is going to replace accountants. And we'll probably talk about that later as well. But I don't personally agree with that. I do think there still has to be a manual element of learning. I don't think there's anything, like a computer can't teach you.
Yeah.
No, I would agree that we do similar, maybe not manual jobs, because I think nowadays people can learn how to use Xero, and they don't really know how to do accounts. They can use the software, but it should be the other way around. You should know how to do accounts, then you use Xero. Okay, day one you get Xero training because that's what we use all day, every day. But we have we're sort of ACCA platinum employers and things like this. So we have a kind of a logbook, and that's kind of, we've designed that ourselves, and it's basically ticking off the boxes. But every single one is accounts questions, and do you know the accounting treatment? If you're buying a van in hire purchase and trading one in, what's the accounting journals? there.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who knows how to use Zero won't
Yeah.
know that. And again, when you talk about the skills gap, I don't know whether it's COVID, working from home. I remember interviewing lots of people recently, and it was people with 5-6 years experience in accountancy firms, and I would ask in the interview my usual question, give them a pad of paper, clients bought a van, sold a van, traded one in, what's the accounting journals for it? And I think maybe 1 out of 10 would get even close to it. You'd have people and like, I just wouldn't have a clue. And you're like, you're working for a mid-tier accountancy firm, you're doing, what happens when a client does buy a van? Never happened before. It's like, sure, it has.
Yeah.
So I think there's a huge skills gap, huge.
I've got
And again, good old-fashioned accounts. I'm sure if I asked Jacquelyn, she would tell me the answer.
Yeah.
Maybe not just now on the spot.
No, it's funny you say that because a couple of weeks ago, I've got this memory that comes around on my social media every year, and it always makes me smile because it's from about maybe 14 years ago, and it is literally a pencil written trial balance, and at the end it balances and it's underlined, and it's just, I think I'd put in the comment like, the best feeling ever as an accountant is making a trial balance. And it's just like, but with all this technology,
you don't get that.
You do not get that
When
at
I
all.
first started, I had an A3 sheet of paper, extended trial balance, a pencil and a rubber. You'd make a journal, you would re-add it all up, then kind of the balance. T accounts. and I think that's, you learn how to do accounts.
Yeah.
Then you can add things onto that if you've got the base knowledge. It's like being in a meeting and kind of saying, well, the client says, oh, my stock figure is this, it's higher than what you've got. Is, well, does that increase your profit or decrease your profit?
Yeah.
You should know your debits and credits.
Definitely.
So I think it seems like what you're saying to a degree is, although, you know, the technology can already help with some of these things, and I think we will find that, you know, I don't know what answer you would get if you asked ChatGPT your answer just now. Probably hit or miss, but within the next few years, it probably will be able to answer that. But it's still important for people to understand rather than just getting it from the tool, because you need to be able to look at what you're getting and go, yeah, that is right. Because like, you know, ChatGPT and all of these LLMs, you know, they do suffer from hallucinations, although it is getting much better. But I've had it myself with things where I was doing something. I was asked to do a presentation on R&D tax credits and grants. And I was doing the R&D part of it. That's what it was. And then the grants guy decided, cancelled 2 days before, and they said, can you do that as well? And I know enough about grants, but I cheated a bit. I was like, right, let's get ChatGPT to do it. And thankfully I picked up something because I did know about it, that I was like, oh no, that's referring to like the US grant system. That's not a UK thing. Whereas I could have just went and read it, and to be honest, probably most of the people that I was delivering it to
and if the
would have thought it was right
technology's
as well.
use the technology, but it's the same. It's the dangers of Googling it, especially a technical accounts question. It's easy to pick up the wrong end, or a technical tax question. It's easy to pick up the wrong end of the stick. It might look all right, but it's knowing, have that kind of personal knowledge. Actually, that's right or that's not right, because it's not guaranteed to be right.
So just kind of and a bit more on this, the skills gap. Where do you see, certainly in Scotland, because I think we really do have a big skills gap in Scotland when it comes to accountancy. I speak to accountants every day of the week, and they're struggling. But at what level do you think it's most pronounced? Is it at that kind of entry level position, or is it more when you're looking for senior kind of people within the business?
I think it's kind of a mid position.
Yep.
I think entry level, you've still got hungry ones that want to come in and they want to learn, and that's great. It's just kind of trying to navigate and find them. I think senior, obviously, Donald, you've got people that know what they're doing, but I think it's that middle bit. It's like sometimes I find that people can be very quick to, and I'm quite harsh, because if they'll come to me and they'll say like, oh, Jack, how'd you do this? And I'll be like, well, have you thought of it? Like, why you not? The first thing I would ever do if I didn't know something would be go away and find an answer. And sometimes I do find that you're kind of saying like, well, have you checked this? And then they'll be like, oh, well, no, but, and I'll be like, right, okay, go and look at that and go and see if you can work it out. And I want them to kind of work it out themselves. And my team are brilliant. They all do that. People I've trained before are amazing. They've really thought on their feet. But there has been times when it's something simple, and it's not that I could just give you the answer, but I'm not going to, kind of thing. I want you to do that, and I want you to learn how to go and use your initiative. But I do find that middle kind of tier, maybe semi-senior, senior kind of position is where there is kind of a lack. And again, when you're thinking about your accountancy journey and how you get to being qualified or how you get to being senior staff, 5 years ago we did have COVID and we did move to a working from home, so maybe that is kind of the thing. And then on top of that, the technology side of it as well.
Yeah, all these things kind of compounding to, because that's the, I didn't want to just say that, but that's the bit that people are telling me that they're struggling.
Yeah. I think the same
those.
senior, and I've heard so many theories on it, etc., where I think it is a COVID thing of a mixture of a lot of older people, senior people, kind of probably retired, and there wasn't the next generation coming through to replace them. Whether, I mean, we offer work from home from our office, and are very rarely the guys don't come into the office.
We're the same,
and I'm delighted, even though I kind of, if they want to do it. One got Nicole, she's got a young baby, so she kind of works at home on the Wednesday, and we're flexible. If people want to do it, they can do it. But I'm delighted that they all come in pretty much 5 days a week.
Yeah, no, that's impressive.
You can literally see them learning more than they would be working from home. It's just a matter of fact. The secondary learning, where they're picking up on other people's conversations, etc. Things like that, dead easy. I think if you just don't get that from working from home. Even though I think it does have its place to some degree, but not. We've got a young team; they're absolutely brilliant, but I think they need the kind of the working together. We're quite sad in the office. Kind of talk about, I'm doing this on that job, and somebody else will chime in, and that's what I kind of think, etc. And we then get the answer between us.
But I think that says a lot about you. You must have an amazing culture.
Yeah.
In the office as well. Yeah. They enjoy. It's a team and things like that as well.
Yeah, and it's quite sad as well. We're like, we found an answer to this VAT question. Like VAT on gift cards, I think was the recent one, and there. But we kind of went around the houses, but everybody in the conversation knew the answer to that. Yeah.
Whereas if you were at home, you might have went and done the research yourself, found the answer, and might have not told anybody, or might have stuck it onto a Teams or a Slack channel, and some people might have seen it and some people might have not.
But I would rather, same as Jacquelyn, I'd rather people had a go. Dead easy for somebody to kind of say, what's this? And you tell them, don't learn that way. I worked for a guy years and years ago, and his stock phrase was, bring me solutions, don't bring me problems. Which is, it's maybe a little bit harsh, but it's like, if somebody came to me and said, actually, I don't know what to do here, but this is what I think you should do, they might be wrong. 100% take that all day long, rather than saying, I've given up already.
Yeah. So that I had a question in my mind there, and I think you might have just answered it actually with that. But I was kind of thinking, so for any up and coming accountants who are at that kind of senior area or looking for that next role, who maybe themselves are finding that when they're going for roles that they're not quite getting there because there is a gap, is there any advice you would give to folk in terms of how they can kind of better prepare themselves for that more senior level role?
I think there's no substitute of just doing the work, just getting it done. Being a bit of a kind of all-rounder, speaking or dealing with kind of clients, just kind of doing it. Again, no substitute for getting the experience of it. We had a young guy in the office, Marcus, who's just been dealing with an HMRC investigation, and we've guided him through it, but he's kind of pretty much dealt with it himself. Which is great.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he was terrified.
The first one's always the worst.
Yeah, but you always have to do your first one. Everybody has to do their first client meeting by themselves. Everybody has to kind of go solo. but see what you learn from that
Yeah.
is kind of doing it. It's just kind of just do the job. You'll learn from it. Okay, in that situation, we were always there. We were always kind of guiding, so it's not there. So it's kind of done in a controlled way. But at some point, you then kind of, you can't always rely on other people. So at some point, you have to then say that actually, I'm going to be the person that's just going to actually get on and do it.
Yeah, I used to say this to my team quite often is get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because that's where that is where the growth happens. That's where you develop as a person, as an employee, as a business owner, whatever it may be. Is when you feel that bit of like even today to an extent, I feel a bit nervous about I'm on a podcast like that. But that's where no, I've done a podcast. That was easy. That I can go do another one. Yeah,
it's funny. I'm laughing because I was notorious for whenever I've been training someone or had someone below me that I was kind of seeing through or mentoring or whatever, their first day, I'd be like, right, get your pad, come in this meeting with me, and just the look on their face, sheer terror.
Yeah.
But they always came back months later and they were like, I'm so thankful you did that, because it just pushes them right in the deep end. Get it out your system. Let's go. The clients aren't scary. We're in charge.
Do you know what? I think that's one of the worst things that you can do for somebody is shelter them too much.
Yeah.
Like, I think just, learn by doing. Just on you go.
Yeah. So we've kind of found, and I'll try and tell the guys, your stuff. And you get into it. I mean, I'm not a person naturally meeting. Even though I must have done tens of thousands of meetings, I still don't particularly like them. Don't kind of, if I'm meeting a new client, you still get the wee bit of nerves and things like this. But I always kind of say to the guys, your stuff.
Yeah.
And if you feel yourself kind of getting nervous or not sure, kind of the devil's in the detail, start just talking about accounts.
Yep.
And see when they do that, they're like,
enjoy it.
The end of the meeting's over before at the end, and it's like, what's the worst thing that can happen when you're in this meeting? What's the worst?
Well, that's just segued really nicely into one of my next questions.
And I was like, see, if you don't know the answer, it's all right to say I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I had a meeting where a client started kicking over chairs and tables. But apart from that.
Again, that's like what you're saying about just say I don't know. Like, it's like the art of winging it. And I say that to them all. I'm like that. If you say if you don't know the answer, all you have to do is say, I think I know the answer, but I'm just going to double check before I let you know.
Yeah.
Check it out, go back to them, and it's just so many problems.
I've said that a couple of times where I'd go into a client meeting and I've only looked at the accounts half an hour before the meeting. And somebody says, you're just winging it. And I said, well, not really. I've got 35 years of experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can read a set of accounts in probably 2 minutes, get the kind of key points of that. If somebody's then done more of the detail, etc., that's all I need. That's the experience of it. And sometimes you go in and there's an unknown thing in the meeting, and you do have to wing it.
Yeah, it's like a curveball.
Exactly. Yeah, if you go in with a preconceived idea, like I know exactly what this is going to be, and then they say something that wasn't there, that you didn't know, that nobody's told you, and
what do you
it's
mean?
a completely different conversation at that point. But that's where experience does kick in. That's where the 35 years are.
But you only get that by doing it.
Yeah.
You only get that by doing it.
So my question that I was going to ask when you said, like, what is the worst that could happen? Like, what is the worst? Like, what's your worst memory that you can think of that's happened to you in your professional life?
I don't even know if I can.
Is it that bad?
No, not bad. And well, maybe there's 2 stories I can think of when I went to a client, and the client was getting a tattoo done, and I'm like, I think I might have come up at the wrong time or etc., which is maybe kind of like me. And he's like, no, I've just thought I'd get kill 2 birds with the one stone and have my accounts meeting at the same time as getting a tattoo. And I'm like, okay. So I'm reading out this guy's accounts, and he's going, ow, ow, ow.
Is that because you were telling him?
Yeah, I think so. Your tax bill's this. He's like, oh, ouch. And I'm like, this is a bit kind of surreal. There, I think in the more kind of serious side, and Man, and I remember it to this day of a new client meeting. The guy came in, business doing terrible, etc. And I think it's probably quite pertinent just now. A lot of businesses are really struggling just now, and I think it's sometimes, as well as being an accountant, you need to be a sympathetic ear as well. This guy came in, he's like, business really struggling. I was just a young guy at the time. I was like, again, didn't have any experience in meetings. I was like in this meeting by myself and things like this. And I was like trying to kind of reassure him, etc. And he went out the meeting, never seen again. I get interviewed by the police and things like this. And I was like the last person in his diary.
Oh no.
Oh
I
my
know.
God.
And that has always stuck with me. And of course, the mood has now just changed. And I think that's kind of always stuck me because you're dealing with people.
Yeah.
You're dealing. You can talk about tech and etc. and accounts and kind of tax, but you're also dealing. That person who's kind of running the business is probably very important for that. That's their kind of whole life, even though it might be a very small business, etc. So you need to kind of show them sort of respect if they're struggling, try and offer the advice, but they're also people.
Yeah.
And we're people as well. We're not selling pots and pans. We're people dealing with people. And I think that's why technology will never kind of fully replace, because you can't kind of replace
Yeah.
that.
At least you hope so anyway.
So it's then with clients recently, like, I'm really struggling. And they don't necessarily need accounting advice. They just need a bit of a shoulder to cry on. Sometimes they'll know what the answer is to do, but they just need to speak to somebody.
Yeah. You can't get
so
on a self-serve
there's
solution where the client doesn't need to speak to an accountant. There is no opportunity to say, look, I'm struggling, and get somebody who might be able to, even if it is just being a sympathetic ear, and saying it like it'll be okay. I think that's really important, and I think it's often underplayed just how important accountants are in that relationship, with their clients, because business is tough.
Yep.
It's really
Yeah.
tough.
And sometimes
Absolutely.
when you meet a new client, there has to be a trust there, because you meet a new client, and probably within 20 minutes of them meeting you, you might have never met them before. They're telling you kind of quite personal details about their finances. So there has to be a trust element there. So I think you kind of have to make that sort of connection to then say, look, it's all right, you can trust me to tell me these things.
Yeah.
The worst thing to do is not.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Not tell.
Jacquelyn, what about you? What's the worst
Oh,
that you can tell us?
I don't really know of a worst. I probably haven't had anything as bad as Donald has. I have seen people at their very rock bottom, and it's never nice. But you do tend to feel like just giving someone that 5 minutes, it is a release to them, because as Donald says, these people are business owners. They've probably put everything into this business. They've got a mortgage, they've got a car, they've got kids, they've got a wife. They don't want to disappoint their wife. And sometimes they'll just come in and they'll just break down in front of you, and they just need an ear for 10, 15 minutes. And then when you manage to kind of calm them down, let them see the situation, implement a plan, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to look at, you can almost see the weight just lifting off their shoulders.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is exactly why I started my own firm, is because I just wanted to have clients, work closely with clients, really help them in a step further than just being a once-a-year accountant.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's sometimes the worst bit and the best bit of the job.
It's really
'Cause
rewarding.
then you kind of think, actually, done the right thing there. I'm actually tried to help this person, and it's not about how much I've charged them for that.
No.
It's just kind of helping somebody out in their moment of need, because everybody's business is personal to them. As you say, it's their livelihood. But see if they can go out the door and say,
I feel better.
I've got a plan now. I've got a plan. It's not as sometimes never as bad as you kind of think, and kind of dealing with it. Do the first step. Let's fix this. Let's phone HMRC and get a payment plan, or etc.
Yeah.
As you can see, I've seen it so many times. The weight they've kind of they're breathing again and things like this. Or I had a client recently, and he was like, I've lost 2 stone in weight. I'm so stressed.
Yeah.
And after I spoke to him, and he was feel so much better. But didn't actually tell him anything that you didn't already know.
I've said to a few as well, like, why didn't you come to me sooner?
Yeah.
Why have you carried this? Like, you should have phoned me, you should have messaged me, you should have like, WhatsApp, whatever you need to do. Like, that's what we're here for.
Why do you think clients don't come to their accountant sooner? Because that's something that happens probably more often than I'm sure either one of you would like, is that they kind of they keep it to themselves and then come to you where you think, I could probably help you.
I think that there is obviously, in these times, I think there is a fear that the minute you phone, and I've seen it happen before, the minute you phone, the clock starts ticking, bills, fees, constant, whereas we try not to operate like that. Obviously, we don't work for free. There is fees in place and there is additional work and things like that, but we're always very open and upfront. And I do think that fees are a big barrier for people coming forward. Also, maybe the embarrassment as well of things aren't going that great, but I feel rubbish about that. Like, I don't want people to know. And I think it's crazy because everybody's in it together. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're all trying to just get through day by day and see the end of the day out and live a nice life and things. But it's hard. It is hard sometimes. On a kind of slightly lighter note, I do kind of tend to always say to people, listen, see if someone hasn't died, anything can be fixed.
Yeah.
You just have to put your hands up and be like, okay. I mean, we've got quite a lot of inquiries flowing in now, I think, from the backlog from COVID, and you'll have people coming in and they're in bits like, oh, I've got this letter from HMRC and they're doing this and they're doing that. And I always try to say to them, look, breathe. Like, it's not going to be over in a week. It's going to be quite a long process because we need to communicate back and forward. But again, if something's happened and you've made a mistake or you've not been honest about something, put your hands up and it'll be all right. Yeah. And then usually that kind of calms them down a wee bit and they'll leave with a much more positive kind of attitude.
Cool. So at Mesh, we are a insurtech business. We're not here to talk about Mesh today, so no sales pitch or anything like that. But we love technology, and we're building the business from the ground up using tech. However, we are very, very focused on the fact that it's about providing the technology to our advisors so that they can serve clients better, and actually free up more time so that you can do that actual real human thing. So there's so much tech out there, and there's a lot of noise, I think, about how effective or impactful certain technology can be. But let's focus on the positive stuff. What if you had to pick? We'll say three, right? We'll go with three. Three bits of tech. Three bits of tech. And it can be like really obvious stuff. It doesn't need to be like the most out there. But three bits of tech that you use within your business that either helps you and your team or helps your clients. What would your top three be?
Right, okay.
You go first, Jacquelyn. They'll give me time to think.
Okay, number one would be Loom.
Okay, yeah.
So with every finalised set of accounts that we do, we record a Loom video of us talking through the accounts and send it to the client with a transcript. And the clients watch this, and we'll say to the clients, have a watch of this, get together any questions. It just means that the meeting will be more structured. You know what you're coming into. And 9 out of 10 times they'll message back like, I don't need a meeting. So it's great. Yeah. It's absolutely great. Scribe, I would say, is a really good one as well. We use Scribe to document processes, and also, again, if, say, the client does their own bookkeeping but they're a bit stuck on something, then what we would do is we would actually create a Scribe that gives them a step-by-step with screenshots process of how to do this or what this means, or how to even something like pay their personal tax bill. Obviously, we've got the email, but some people are more visual, so Scribe will give them like the walkthrough and everything like that as well. And then a third one, let me think.
I don't use either of those.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
You sound shocked. I probably now am.
Yeah, Loom's a great one.
I remember you spoke about Loom before, and I kind of thought, we kind of try and sell the personal.
Yeah.
Does it depersonalise it? But maybe it doesn't. I
think
you
can choose to put your face in the corner if you like.
Yeah, so I probably would. I don't even. I feel now like a dinosaur. I don't even know what Scribe is.
I know it's really good. So it's
so bad.
I haven't used Scribe. I've kind of seen a demo of it, and I can see how it would be useful. But Loom, I use Loom quite a lot for certain things. Always with my face in it, like nobody wants to see that. But so I think you can. I would say that's quite a personalised way of using technology.
Yeah.
Because as you say, some clients might go, do you know what, that's enough, I don't need the meeting. Well, that's fine. But I'd reckon that certainly from a psychology point of view, they probably feel that they've had that
Yeah.
personal bit of connection there because
We get so
somebody's
much
done
great
it.
feedback.
Yeah.
Like even just the other day, we had somebody like, that's such a brilliant idea to send that recording, and they just absolutely love it. And it's always stored there on their portal for them
Yeah.
to go back and have a look at, along with their paperwork that they sign off as well.
No, that's cool. What about you then, Donald? What's your...
I don't think there's anything. I think we're kind of quite. We're very digital, paperless, etc. Are we kind of using things like Jacquelyn's using? Probably not. I think the kind of things we're kind of using and doing is probably what everybody else is using just now. Kind of Zero, HubDoc. We use kind of SIFT management reporting, etc. So, but I think we're very good at it. But I don't think we're doing anything kind of completely kind of different. I think videos and stuff like this, it's probably really good, or the how to, because you're just, if you're kind of then clients kind of then saying, how do I do this? And again, it visualizes it.
Yeah.
So probably not anything kind of out there. I've been dabbling a little bit with kind of AI, and I thought I was hoping I would retire before I would have to look at it, and I'm like, so I've been dabbling with it a little bit, and again, I don't think it's going to replace what you kind of then going to do, but what I've kind of dabbled with is actually I've been quite impressed with it, and again, very, very basic.
Yeah.
Just like meeting AI note taker. It just does a summary. They even understands Scottish people. Unbelievable. Have you seen the what's the video we're in the lift? 11?
Oh yeah, 11. Well, I tell you actually, and although this is not about me talking about tech, but our tech guys have been using a bit of technology for. I mean, they've been using it for months, but they told me about it about a month ago, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll get to it. And I think I downloaded, in fact, I did download the app, but I hadn't put it onto my MacBook. But it's a thing called Whisper Flow. And honest to God, this is life-changing for me. I've only started using it last week, but it is, so it essentially integrates with like your Chat GPT, WhatsApp, all of your messaging stuff. And if you're on your phone, there's a wee bit at the bottom where you just speak into it. So it's like dictation, but like it gets my accent 100% all the time. But like even on my MacBook, I just press the wee like globe button at the bottom, hold it in, and just talk to it. So I'm now finding, because I use like LLMs, frequently throughout the day, but my prompts are so much better. But the other thing that's happened in it is I started using it for just like WhatsApp messages and everything. And actually, I think my WhatsApp messages sound like they read better because
they sound more like you than you.
It's like me now. So I would definitely say Whisper Flow, and it's Whisper. I'm trying to think. There's one of I think it's the first I that's missing from Whisper, or is it in the E? But Whisper Flow is one that I would definitely suggest that you have a look at. And you might never type again.
See, I think I've got a theory in the kind of the technology, but it's meant to do work from us. But every accountant I speak to, I'm dead busy still, even with the technology.
Try to learn how to use it.
It's right, learn how to use it, and even with the technology. So I've started using it for like replying to emails. So even it drafts up. It doesn't reply to the email, but it drafts up kind of something there, and you can then kind of change it. So it saves you. It does the standard things that you then personalise it, etc. I used it to write a sort of a presentation and things like this, and you can then kind of change it. And you think, even with all this technology, should I not be sitting with my feet up? Just doing, you kind of said it lets you do the more valuable things. But I think, is that the culture we're kind of living in, where everybody you speak to is just dead busy?
Yeah.
I'll go to bed at night with a zero inbox, and I'll wake up in the morning and I've had 20 emails.
Yeah.
Like, probably, I go to bed quite early.
I was going to say, I'm sure you got your...
I go to bed quite early, but I'm like, people are emailing me. For example, I got an email this morning at 1 o'clock in the morning from a client, and that's normal. And I'm thinking, that's fine. I'm still working way too much, and a lot of accountants I'm kind of then speaking to are saying the same thing. I'm super busy, etc. And this is with the technology.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
what's in my head? What's gone wrong there? Are
Yeah.
we just replacing that with the technology helping 100%? But are we replacing that with?
Yeah.
Are we just taking on more work?
That's one of those ones that I ponder quite a bit. Is so one of another client that I do some work with. You know, they've got a technology platform and it saves people quite significant amounts of time, but so you're only really saving the time if you can then use that time effectively. So like if you just find that it just means that you're doing more work, have you really saved time at the kind of?
And I think that's what people need to think about. I had a client who says literally I could work 24 hours a day and I would never run out of work.
Yeah.
So I need to choose to then when to walk away from that. So if you're not using that time to do other things, you'll never leave your desk anyway, no matter how much you're using technology or not technology, because I think that's the way of the world now. There's never ending kind of work. I mean, the people, and that's why we kind of at Clarity we kind of seen people burn out.
Yeah.
Before,
Yeah.
Need a deadline, need to do this, need this today. Katie, my wife, always says we're accountants, we're not saving lives, etc. And sometimes you get an email, urgent.
Yeah.
Urgent.
Like just how
do I
urgent
pay
is
my
it?
PAYE bill?
Urgent. But that's the world we kind of live in, and we kind of pride ourselves in good client service, getting back to people quickly. But you make a rod for your own back, kind of doing that. So you're kind of quite careful to the guys, even though it's a busy job, is actually when you go, and sometimes it's difficult to actually implement at the time, is when you leave work, you're leaving work. Don't look at your emails.
Yep.
Don't look at your phone, etc. Because I go home and as soon as I start looking at my phone, I get dragged into stuff.
Yeah.
Then you're back at work.
Yep.
So I think that's the key. And I think across the board is how often you go home. Or Jacquelyn, you said you're going on holiday and things like this. But taking your laptop.
Take my
But
laptop.
that's what I do as well. So
Yeah.
I managed that. We went away in July, and I actually 4 days before I opened my laptop.
Oh,
I was not. That was not part of the
think
plan.
I'd
so
literally
good to hear.
go like cold turkey. I think I've tried it, and you're like, I get a bit antsy.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
I already know like what section of the day I'll be opening my laptop. See that bit between the kids being in the pool and dinner? I'm like, I'll just sit on the balcony. They can do what they're doing. And I'll just sit and check my emails. But 4 days, that sounds bliss to me. So hopefully I can do that.
Yeah, I like I say, I wasn't expecting it, but I think when I got away, I kind of realised, do you know what? I need this time. My kids need this time. My wife needs this time.
Yeah.
Whereas normally I would be sneaking away or like, oh God, I'll just check on this. But yeah, I didn't at all. So kind of again on the whole technology front, I you know, listen, as I'm sure you do, and you'll see lots of stuff online from, you know, various commentators and stuff about, you know, where the accountancy profession's going or where the world of work's going. But you know, looking at this focused on accountancy, where do you see things going, let's say the next 5 years within accountancy? And by the way, whatever any of us say here, we're all going to be totally wrong. So we can say that for the start, because nobody knows. But you know, where do you see things going?
Well, I can slightly different to that. I would say one of the biggest things that I do not agree with that a lot of people kind of talk about online is that compliance is dead. And this is a big argument, isn't it? Like there's a lot of people pushing advisory, compliance is dead in the water. Personally, you've got no advisory if you've not got compliance first, in my opinion.
Couldn't agree more. We've seen advisors doing the advisor stuff, whatever that is, the black magic, and the accounts have been a pile of mince. And I'm like, how can you advise when the accounts aren't right? So you can't have, they're hand in hand.
Yes, 100%.
Bookkeeping's not a dirty word.
No.
Nothing better than a nice set of books. Then you can add the advisory on to that.
Yeah.
but it's not. Yeah, you've
Yeah.
touched a raw nerve there, Jacqueline. For me, that's
Sorry.
fine.
I was kind of hoping that one of you might have said that, actually,
yay.
because
There's nothing wrong with
There's
a nice
nothing wrong.
set of books.
Yeah.
Then you can advise on the figures.
Yeah.
But advisory without that is just, and there's a lot of
It's-
people out selling that just now
Yeah.
for quite a lot of money. And you're like, yeah, no, I don't think you really know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, I mean, for certainly my mind, you know, the two go hand in hand.
Yep.
And I just don't see compliance being dead in the way that
No.
some people
HMRC
suggest.
are always going to want their money. Companies House are always going to want their accounts. Like, there's so many people, and it's a shame because I feel like they almost push the compliance dead to try and sell their advisory services, and it's just like, oh, and there's so many people in the comments or wherever you see it, like, oh, this is great. Oh, I'll do this. I'll sign up, and you're just like, oh, it's kind of like watching a car crash unfold a wee bit.
Yeah.
To me personally, other people might not agree, but I definitely do not think that compliance is going anywhere.
Yeah. And see, when people talk about advisory and accountancy, what do you think that, what are they actually
I don't even know what it
selling?
is. What you advise, if you're not advising on the accounts,
I know, but
which is just, for me, part of the accounts.
yeah,
If you're talking somebody through a set of accounts and
It's
you would then
advisory.
say,
yeah.
oh, you need to reduce your debtor days, or you need to watch your cash flow, etc.
Yeah.
That's advisory. You're advising on a set of accounts.
If we're changing the pay structure from dividends and salary to payroll, that's advisory. I think, it's I think the word's thrown about a lot now. For me, like, high level advisory would be like company restructuring, something that really takes a good sit
Not
down.
your.
Yeah,
I think
not your average
there's
Joe.
day-to-day advisory, then
Yeah.
there's project advisory.
Yeah.
I want to restructure my companies. I need somebody,
Yeah.
a specialist into how to do that. That's probably a more advisory, but not.
Yeah. Another thing I've seen getting chucked about as well is like the over exertion of KPIs. Like,
Yeah.
you should have 10 KPIs or whatever. Like, I personally, I don't believe in that either. I think start off with 3, maybe up to 4 or 5 kind of thing. But there tends to be a lot of people that are pushing, oh, you need all these KPIs and you need to do this. It totally depends on what industry you're in, what your focus is, what your goals are. I mean, you could be chasing KPIs that absolutely mean nothing
Yeah.
to you, and you're getting so hung up and so
Analysis paralysis.
yeah, exactly. You're getting so hyper focused on something that actually isn't going to help you out, and it's not relevant.
Yeah. So, let me just think on that a wee second. So, compliance isn't dead.
No.
We're agreed on that. And advisory, like, it's not a new thing that's just all of
No.
a sudden.
Yeah. And
No.
there should be no shame in I only do compliance.
Yeah,
I only
we do advisory.
book. I'd be delighted to
Yeah.
do that. It's hugely undervalued.
Yeah.
I'll say it out loud as well. Like, I think that if you have got an accountant and you're listening to people on LinkedIn saying things like, oh, advisory this and advisory that, I think you need to change accountant, because your accountant should be going through these things with you if it's an end of year review or if it's quarterly management accounts. Personally, I feel like, yeah, of course there is value in having you having an advisor and having an accountant, and that's great. But I do think, to a certain extent, as Donald pointed out, like, you should be getting relatively good advisory service from your accountant while we're going over your accounts, while we're going over your VAT returns, any kind of touch points. There should be something, you should be able to approach them. So I think advisory, for me personally, is more of a project-like basis.
That's probably what you're doing in your Loom videos.
Yeah.
You're giving advice. You're talking through your
through
set of
it.
accounts, your etc. That's your
Yeah.
advisory.
And do you think there's an element of, for those that are being encouraged to start looking at advisory work as opposed to compliance, that maybe they're not charging enough for the compliance work in order to give the advice that goes with it? And actually, if they just charge the right amount, then compliance and advisory goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
Or is that way off the mark, do you think?
I think it's one of these things where it's difficult, and I think, going back to my earlier question, why are accountants so busy?
Mm-hmm.
Probably don't charge enough money.
Yeah.
But it's kind of difficult as well when a business is struggling, and most people are on a fixed fee nowadays, fixed fee model, etc. You end up doing a wee bit more work and things like this, and maybe not kind of charging it. So generally, accountants are maybe they should take their own advice and treat themselves as if they were a client. And what would you say to that client? So it's difficult to get pricing right, and some people find it awkward to talk to clients about kind of money, etc. So getting your pricing right as well. But I've seen a lot of accountancy firms where the for the service that people are getting, the fees are way too high.
Yeah.
There. So I think there is a middle ground.
Yeah.
Having spent some time at one of the big four, I can definitely say that's true.
I think it's,
And sometimes I saw what's a big four partner charge out rate? Easily £1,000 an hour.
Well, certainly, yeah. When we were doing work, and it would have been, certainly for a London-based clients, over £1,000, £1,500 per hour for a partner. Yeah,
That's like Ronaldo. Well, that's maybe £1,500 a minute or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of thinking,
Relatively
this guy must be absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
I think as well, it is a tough gig for us, because if you look at other professional services, you've got, like, say you've got a conveyancing lawyer, you're buying this nice house, they're sending you a fee, and you don't even question it because you've got this big shiny 4-bedroom detached dream home at the end of it. And then what are we giving them? Like a nice big shiny tax bill. Like do you know what I mean? It's one of them. So it is a tough gig. So it's all about, rather than selling services that they don't need, it's about selling what is the service that you're actually providing bring to the table for them. Like, what is the benefit of that?
Yeah.
And trying to get them to see that. And again, like, if you give a good service, then they'll be willing to pay for it because they'll see the benefit from it.
Yeah. So in terms of who'll be listening to the podcast, I'm pretty sure there'll be quite a number of fellow accountants and business. Well, I say fellow accountant, not me, because I am not an accountant. But there will be other accountants listening, but I'm sure there'll be business owners as well. This isn't a question that I gave you beforehand, so apologies.
I don't think we've stuck to any of the questions beforehand.
I did say that. Like, I'll try and remember some of them. It's a bit like how I put different comments together. Yeah, I just go with how it feels. But for a business who might be thinking that they either need an accountant for the first time, or that they potentially are looking at changing accountants, what should a business be looking out for? And obviously you can't just say they should just come to us. That's too obvious.
Okay. Can I go first?
Yes.
So if you're thinking, when do I need to get an accountant, my advice would be right from the get-go.
Yeah.
Even if it's just for an hour's advice to get you up and off the ground, because we all know how cash flow is in the beginning, speak to an accountant. I'm not trying to sell myself, but we are literally your most valuable asset. We can do so much more than you think we can do. We can really help you out, and we can really set you on the right steading. So I would say, first thing to do is speak to an accountant. And the second one was
Somebody was changing accountant.
Oh, somebody was changing accountant, right? So there's this big misconception that, it's such a headache to change accountants. It's just going to be a hassle kind of moving things. It's not. It's called professional clearance. The accountants deal with it between themselves. There's actually very, very little input. What I would say is all accountants offer different things, whether it be personality, like I might not be everyone's cup of tea, Donna might not be everyone's cup of tea, but you need to find someone that you're going to be comfortable with, that you're going to gel with, that you're going to get a good service with. And if that means that the accountant that you're with, who served a purpose before and it was great, but maybe they've become really busy, or they're not hearing from them as much, or they've taken it in a different direction, there's nothing wrong with changing accountants. And it's really, really simple. The only thing you do is you can contact another accountant and they take care of it from there. We get all the authorizations in place. We do what's called professional clearance between accountants. Is that communication always professional? Nope. But yeah, I'm sure we've got some stories about that. But yeah, there is a professional courtesy in place, and it's there for a reason. And that is there to take all the hassle away from the clients. So it's not hard to change accountants. And again, I would always say, speak to a few. Don't speak to one and go with the first one. Speak to a couple. We're not going to hold it against you.
Yeah.
I mean, we all do like a half an hour meeting consult or whatever like that with new clients, but don't just jump on the first one. Speak to a couple and see what it's like.
Yeah, no, that's a good bit of advice.
Yeah,
That
I would say the same. If you're starting a company, day one, we see people leave it too late and it costs more to fix it than you do in day one. And quite often we'll defer fees until you're then kind of making money. Okay, there's still a point. We're a business as well, so we still need to make money, but it's much better. You make the better decisions. So
I remember when I started up my own company, there's a couple of, I mean, it was minor things, but it was mistakes that would not have happened had I went to my accountant first of all, instead of going after it. And he did tell me, but yeah, you think, do it. And obviously at that point in time, you're every penny's a prisoner and all that, and thinking, oh well, I don't want to have to pay for this. Where actually you would just be better, as you say, day one, speak to an accountant, make sure that you do it right.
Yeah, and the same with switching over, dead easy. As Jacquelyn says, the accountants deal with it amongst themselves. Very little input. You effectively say, I'm kind of leaving. There'll be a bit of work that goes on in the background, but you're not really will kind of see that. So again, when I said earlier on, if the kind of situation doesn't suit you, then leave that situation. People I think are probably too loyal to their accountant. We're kind of quite lucky and don't really have clients that leave us. A simple if is do a good job for somebody and they'll stay and they'll usually recommend somebody else. But you shouldn't accept bad service. I mean, I think there is a thing of people decide to leave their accountant and then do it about 3 years later. Because they been with them 10 years, he's a good guy, etc. But you're still paying for a professional service. So the things we kind of hear, we hear the same things again and again. Accountant never get back to me. So we have a sort of 24-hour turnaround, and that might be I'm busy today, but I'll get back to you on Tuesday. Accounts filed a day before the deadline, etc. I had a client this week. I said I had to go in on Christmas Eve and sign off my accounts Christmas Eve and things like this. One of Katie's favourite sayings is, and she comes from a non-accounting background, a deadline's not a target.
Yes.
Yeah.
that doesn't, if you need to file your accounts by 31st of December, doesn't mean you're filing it on the 30th of December. Do it kind of well before, etc. Or accountant, again, I always remember a meeting and the client was getting kind of quite emotional and you're like, are you all right? And she's like, my last accountant used to like shout at me and not be nice to me, etc. Talking down to people.
Right.
Yeah.
Accountants are kind of not necessarily the most personable people. Kind of make people kind of feel at home or they're outside their comfort zone, etc. There. So again, you got to feel comfortable with the people you're dealing with. So dead easy to do to switch accountants.
Yeah. No, that was really, really good advice from both of you. Okay. Here's a one a bit left field, but what's a popular opinion that within accountancy that you disagree with? To you first, Donald.
So I think probably just what I said there. I worked probably the first 15 years of my career. I worked fighting deadlines. And when we started Clarity Accounting, you're like, don't want to do that anymore. Getting too old too stressful. You're firefighting, etc. So let's do this a wee bit differently. So we deliberately had too many staff. Which being an accountant is, I can work it out in my head. If you've got too much staff, you're making less money. But so we're over-resourced. But that fixes the problem of running against deadlines. People run against the deadlines because they're too busy. They kind of fight one deadline, go on to the next job, fight the next deadline. They don't have any breathing space. So we kind of built in a wee bit of breathing space. Still hard to do. It's still a demanding job. And do we get it right 100% of the time? Definitely not. So we kind of built a wee bit of extra resource and just trying to kind of, and a lot of accountants will do what we're doing, but a lot of accountants are still very old school. Things get done right at the deadline. So how do you then kind of fix that? It's just being organised, planning, etc. If some client needs a bit of work done or extra work done, you've got the capacity to do it, etc. So I think that just kind of changes the nature of how to kind of how accountants work.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of seeing it. There's a lot of private equity in accountants just now.
Yep.
Oh God, we've not even touched on that.
Private
Maybe we
equity.
should go there.
And I don't think is that a good thing or a bad thing? Time will tell, but just now, I see what happens when an accountancy firm gets taken over. The staff hate it because they're like changing or merging into a kind of firm. Clients hate it because their fees have just gone up, and different ways to then do it. And I'm kind of thinking, what's the motivation of the private equity firm to then, well, kind of make money? And how do you make money? You up fees, you squeeze deadlines, you give people more work to do, so they're working weekends, etc. For maybe lay people off, etc. And I'm thinking, do I really want to be a kind of a part of that? So I think there's going to be mega firms that are just going to be machines, and probably the mid-tier will have gone. They've all been bought over. Then you'll have firms like myself and Jacquelyn's that still offer the personal.
Independent.
Yeah. I think I said that the last time we caught up. That's kind of how I envisage this going, because the PE charge is it's not stopping anytime soon. And then you see the next round where it will be the PE firms will be buying the smaller PE firms to become bigger businesses, but I do think there'll be as I say, mid-market. There's a few that I speak to who are still very resistant to it. But does there come a point where even they go, do you know what,
Money
fair
talks,
enough? Where I do think that it will be the smaller independent firms, and then a big gap into these big firms. So I think the future's quite promising for firms that are similar to yourselves.
Yep.
Because I always use the example, my brother-in-law's in business, successful business going well, and his accountant was acquired by a PE-backed firm. And he just right away was like, "This is not for me.
Not for me.
Just not. I don't want to be
we
at
won
that
a
type of
client
firm."
recently. Their firm get taken over, private equity. Again, fee went up, client service wasn't great, and they come and spoke to us, but they're speaking to lots of other people, and we didn't think we'd have much chance of winning it because we thought they're too big for us, etc. But we won it on the personal touch. They just, for some reason, they liked us.
Yeah.
As people, and that's why we won it.
Yeah, I'm sure there is a place for the PE firms. Just I'm putting that in there purposefully, just in case any of them are listening.
Just in case. I love PE firms.
I will just say,
I love them. They're brilliant.
We'll try and see if we can put this out on LinkedIn and stuff. Like, we'll A/B test it, and we'll have some of them going to like the independents and then to the PE folk. We'll be like, no, we honestly we really love them. Like,
dangled a big check in front of me right now. All my principles are out the window.
But a good question. What would you do? How big's the check?
No, honestly, I would say just now that I wouldn't. I would, because I would have to go and work for them for like 2 years.
Yeah,
and I would hate it. And again, we would owe it to our staff not to do it. We would owe it to our clients not to do it.
Yeah.
Having said that, probably somebody offers me £20 million. I'll be out of there like a shot.
What about yourself, Jacquelyn?
Oh, do you know, so one of my biggest kind of hates about the industry is that old saying, you should be working on the business, not in the business. Because for me personally, I actually love my job. I love what I do. I love speaking to my clients. I love getting to know them. I'm on a personal level with the majority of them. If I see them down at Tesco or whatever, they'll be like, oh, Jacquelyn, how's the Waynes? And do you know what I mean? So for me, absolutely not at this point. And I can't really ever see it being on my radar either.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I just,
so I'm a
love
lot
it. We've
older.
got a
I'm,
great
I'm in my 50s. You're a
Yeah.
lot younger. You've got a long way to go.
yeah, never
So-
say never, I suppose. But I mean, we've got a great little community of accounting firms, like independent accounting firms. We all go out, we all socialise, we all help each other. If we need something, like if we've got a client where Donald specialises in something, he's got more experience, I would refer it over, I would ask for help. So we've kind of built that, and we're always welcoming other people in and things. So I think that for me is what it's all about.
Yeah, it's interesting that you're saying that, you've got a community, something. So I spent a lot of time in R&D tax credits when I was at Big Four. I was heading up a team in that, and certainly within that specific industry, there's a lot of infighting, and everybody's trying to outdo each other, and it very much kind of working from a position of kind of, I think, like, there's a finite amount of clients, and clearly there is, because you need to be doing things that qualify for R&D tax credits, although that didn't stop
there is
some.
now.
Didn't
Since
stop
they
some
cracked down
people,
on it.
right enough. But I don't get the sense of that, and the kind of wider accountancy community, and it
so
almost feels.
I think even though we're running our own business, I think we're lucky
Yeah.
being an accountants, because there's plenty of work out
Yeah.
there. We've got clients who are like, don't know where my next job is coming from. We don't really have that pressure. Client will kind of, if you're doing a good job, clients will stay with you. Need an accounts done every year, probably on a monthly direct debit. It should be an easy
An easy gig.
an easy gig. An easy gig. But it's not, because it's
Yeah.
you're dealing with lots of different clients at the same time and things like this. So it's still a hard job. But compared to running other businesses, I think it should be a kind of, and it should be profitable
Yeah.
as well. Okay, profitable where big accountancy firms might be profitable and not have any money in the bank. But it should be a relatively straightforward. So I think we're kind of lucky as accountants. And that's why I think there is a huge change in the landscape. Before, accountants used to be very private.
Yeah.
And they'd all be partnerships, because they never wanted to see, if somebody saw their accounts, and saw how much money they were making, etc. And the enemy was other accountancy firms and things like this. But that's kind of, at our level, that's completely and utterly gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no infighting. There's enough work out there
Yeah.
that we can all help each other and
Yeah.
still have plenty of work.
Yeah, and I, for me, it's great
So I
to
think
see.
we're very fortunate.
Yeah, I think it is. It's brilliant to see, particularly. And I know you're a wee bit older, but I still see you as one of the younger accountants,
Yeah.
Donald. Younger in mind, maybe. But there are plenty of young, kind of vibrant firms of accountants, but all collaborating. It's not to say that you have a weekly meeting and discuss who's going after who, but it does feel like that people, because they genuinely care. If there was a client that maybe you didn't think you were the best fit for, that you would feel comfortable saying to someone like Jacquelyn, and vice versa. So it's great to see. What's perfect. What in terms of what clients are looking for from accountants, do you think that's changed in the last 5 years? And do you think it's going to change in the next 5 years? And if so, what do you see that being?
What clients? I think clients are just looking for good service.
Mm-hmm.
I think the way the world is now, people want kind of stuff now. There's no, when I first started, if you get back to somebody within the week, that was good service. Just now, the kind of people expect a reply very quickly. Okay, you can manage that,
Yeah,
to a certain degree, but I think that's the way the world is just now. If you order something online, you probably get it today or tomorrow.
yeah,
We had a client who was going to have an online business and said, well, you'll get it in like a week because they're shipping it from China or whatever. And customers don't want that. So I think the expectation is a lot higher. I think there's a thing of expectation versus budget, and where
Reality.
where the reality is in there. So I think it's customer service for accountants isn't difficult. It's just getting back to people.
Yeah.
It's just and that can be hard when you've got 200 clients.
Yeah, to manage that. Yeah.
To manage that.
Do you think as much as people want things that kind of immediacy, do you think it's about being able to just managing the relationship and managing the job, for example? Because I look at this, and we've been working with, I won't mention who we're working with, but we're working with some folk at the moment, and it's not the length of time that it's taken that's been the really frustrating bit. It's the fact that they keep telling us, they're like, oh, we'll have that to you by then, and then that slips. That drives me nuts.
Yeah.
I don't mind if something takes a week or if it takes 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I think if you're having to chase for
Yeah.
that, like you told me this date, where is it, kind of thing, that's like poor service.
Yeah.
Whereas
If you set the expectation,
Yeah.
people will be fine.
yeah, and if something comes up, then you approach the client and say, listen, I know I said I'd get that to you today, however, so this has come up.
Yeah.
It's going to be an extra
They'll
couple
always
of
be
days.
fine with that.
Yeah.
But if you go radio silent,
Yes.
Yeah, that's
It's
a
the
bit
worst thing you can do.
Just get people thinking, right, well, when's it happening? And then it knocks other things back as well. What about yourself, Jacquelyn? What would you say the kind of changes in terms of what clients want from their accountants have been in the last 5 years? And
I would think, so coming from a slightly younger point of view, right, I would
I
say
think you've
we-
mentioned that about 10 times.
Sorry. I would say, yeah, I totally agree with Donald. Like, we live in a world of convenience now, and you're also up against things like social media, TikTok, like influencer lifestyles. People are they've got so much more drive. People aren't really living within their means, within their basics kind of anymore. They want. They want the flash cars. They want this. So there is that drive for it. And with that comes, with the need for material items comes that kind of desperation to get things done. And it's just kind of balancing it out and setting the expectations of, yeah, that's fine, we can do that for you, but this is the time scale of it.
Yeah.
Like, I've got somebody who messaged me, their year end was the 31st of August, and they messaged me on the 1st of September, like, right, can we do our year end accounts? I was like, well, we need to do your VAT return first. But do you know what I mean? But we will get it done. And so we set the expectation, we'll have that to you by the end of October. We'll have it done well before then. We'll give ourselves 2 months. In fact, it's almost done.
yeah.
But again, it's just setting that expectation and also giving yourself that bit of buffer so you're not disappointing or annoying them.
Yeah, no, that's really, really good. So we are running out of time. I've got a million more questions. That's maybe a slight exaggeration till I'm not an accountant. That I could ask the two of you. It's been really good. I've really enjoyed it. I hope it wasn't too bad a first experience of podcasting. I do want to just finish with one question, and this has put you on the spot. But
Go to
so
Donald first.
there'll be a lot.
You've
Obviously,
been first, like every time, so I've had time to think. So.
we'll put this on social media. It'll be on YouTube, Spotify, and we'll do lots of clips on LinkedIn. I spend a fair amount of time, or at least it looks like I spend a fair amount of time on social media, certainly on LinkedIn. Donald, I love some of the stuff that you put on, particularly on a Friday. I love your posts. Jacquelyn, I've started seeing some of your stuff as well and really like it. But is there anybody, and this could be an accountant, it could be just someone that you know in business, or anyone that you see that's putting stuff out on social media that you think people should go and follow them because it's either really good information or they're just a positive person, and you think like, and you can say me.
But that was going the other way.
but so who's going first?
I'll go first. Who do I have? One, I think I could give you a long list of people not to follow.
Yeah.
Avoid.
I can't be on that list either,
No,
by the way.
absolutely not.
I can't, so I would give you, and you could probably guess who that is. So that I think there's a lot of hot air out in LinkedIn. So again, I kind of post every Friday, and I just random stuff, but I can hopefully I try to kind of show it's me. We're kind of a person that is I never post about accounts or tax, or very, very rarely, etc. But I try and show this is just me as a person, whatever random stuff. I think the office fridge was my last week's post, and how I feel about my office fridge.
I much preferred the one where your team pretended there was a mouse in the office. That if you laugh, you haven't seen that. So cool. I would have been on the table.
Torture. and like, that was like, and you probably didn't see the edited video. There was a lot of swearing, and that kind of didn't make the final edit. Who do I follow on LinkedIn that I kind of saying? Probably difficult. The only person that comes to mind was because he tagged me in a post last week was Alan Broom.
Alan, if you are watching or listening, love to have you on the podcast.
Yes.
I think he does a podcast, I think, as well.
The three bearded guys.
The three bearded guys. And I think he says what he thinks. And that's kind of very, and he's a nice guy, so I think he kind of says.
I think he's I think he's authentic. I mean, he does like to poke.
He prods the beast.
Pokes the bear, and that's what I kind of don't do. I've got Katie who edits my LinkedIn post. In fact, I had one last week. She says, "You can't post that." And I was like, "That's all right." And she's like, "No, I vetoed it." So he probably kind of says things. He's a Falkirk fan, and St Mirren beat Falkirk. That's why he came to mind, because he tagged me. And when St Mirren were playing Falkirk, I'm a St Mirren fan. So that was the first person that sprung to mind.
Fair play. No, Alan's a good shout. What about yourself, Jacquelyn? Anybody that you would?
Do you know, like, it's one of the ones, like, I know I'm going to say this and someone's like, why did you say me? And I'm, who do I think is a really good, influential person? Just a good person. Lee Mayer is actually a good guy.
Good,
yeah, I like Lee. Lee's lovely. He's such a nice guy. His posts are always great. He does really well. And he has that good mix of personal and business. And I've referred clients on to him before as well. And he always does a really great job. They always give me really, really great feedback. So again, it's another person in your network that's just worth their weight in gold.
He posted, and I
it's just a shame. It's just a shame he's in Aberdeen. When's he ever in the office? It's just a shame he's an Aberdeen fan.
I commented saying you've won LinkedIn, and it was when he was on holiday and he got like the looky guy you do the Mayor finance. Just absolutely brilliant. Like that won the internet for me.
But you're doing well as well, and I think LinkedIn is great. I've retired from networking. I don't want to go and meet people anymore. I'm getting too old for it. I'm leaving that for the younger guys. But I kind of LinkedIn, you've done well. I think you've had a few viral posts.
I have. I've actually taken a break from LinkedIn just because I really need to reevaluate who I'm following and things, because I did feel it was getting to the point where it was just a daily drain going on, listening to the same people talk the same stuff and sell their services, and you're just like, okay. But I have taken a break from it. I am coming back. And I have had a couple of viral posts. I think the most viral one was the one about the Chinese, the money laundering. So I'd went into the Chinese and it was like, they'd wrote on like a paper kind of packet, cash only please. So I'd posted a picture of it and I was like, well, did this not trigger the anti-money laundering officer in me just for a laugh? And it went like, it had like 1 million views. It had all these comments. It had all these like men arguing in the post. Cash is king. I was like, right, okay, you're missing the point here.
I try and stay away from. I had to kind of do one that was like environmental, and I got like lots of different people arguing, and I just delete.
See, for like the first, like I think for like the first hour of the day, because it got to the point I had to actually turn my phone off and log out of LinkedIn. It's scary
when you get in and it starts to get
just
a bit
non-stop. And I think I was like trying to defend myself, like, no, you don't understand. It's part of my job. I have to check these things. And the folk are just like, cash is king, leave them alone. And I was like, I didn't mean it like that. So that was it. And I still to this day get people liking, and that was about a year ago almost. So I still to this day get people liking and commenting, and I just have a little chuckle at myself.
My most viral post this year was I posted when I was on holiday, like just after I came back from holiday, and said something about like, you know, sun, sea, and copious amounts of, and it said Coke, right? And one of my clients caught to a snapshot of it and sent it to me, and at first I was like, what have I done? Like, and then I realised it was like the next line says 0, but all people could see is I'm taking copious amounts of Coke.
Clickbait.
I'm going to do it. I done a post about the post, and that post went absolutely mental. So clearly everybody just wants me to talk about drugs.
Popular one was about who's your hall pass. So just totally kind of random, and sometimes you're random. Sometimes you kind of do a post and you think, I've done posts, and you think, that's brilliant. not blowing my own trumpet. That's a
Yeah.
masterpiece.
I don't
And
think
it
I've
gets
ever
like
done
three.
that.
It gets like 3 views.
Yeah, aye, and it's gut wrenching. I did
Then you do a rubbish post and it takes off.
I did a post about a rolling square
Yeah, I
sausage.
remember that one.
one, yeah, and it was
Yeah.
the brown sauce to the red sauce. That was a
Yeah,
good one.
so
And I
nice-
think
nice and simple.
mid-year
Wow.
had commented on it, and I was like, oh my goodness.
I did one about Henry Hoover and people from Dyson, the chief product officer
Trolling you.
from Dyson,
We'll
getting
send you
involved.
free samples.
I know.
Ah.
Right, well, listen, it's been absolutely brilliant. I think we better wrap up before we get kicked out of here.
Oh.
But thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate
thank
it.
you.
And
Thank you.
yeah, to everybody else, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Cheers. Bye bye.
Aye.